Hello, and we are back here on Agile Testing Days in
Yes.
Chicago. The hamster is tired already and it's not spinning very well. It's been a long period, and we have had so many interviews and so much fun. And I'm super happy to have back here the amiga Jenna Charlton, uh, keynote speaker, opening keynote of this event. And we were just talking about. I was mind blown by it. Uh, the few ones that I could attend and experience, I loved it. But we're gonna talk a little bit about that in a moment. Amiga Gina, welcome
Thank
back. I
you.
would say.
Hi, everybody. It's been a while.
Quick note. It's to look at the
Oh,
camera.
yes.
Hello,
Sorry.
everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, because everyone likes to see. We
Bad
have a
habit of
screen down
looking at
here.
myself.
Yeah, it's natural, I think.
Yeah.
And well, first of all, there's people who may not know you.
Yeah.
Would you like sharing some whereabouts of what you
Yeah,
have been doing?
sure. So I'm Jenna Charlton. Let's see, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And I've been in testing for 15-ish years. I've actually kind of taken a weird sidestep. I'm currently the director of product for a company called Functionize. We are a low code, no code, AI based test automation platform. We do a whole lot more than that. I'm not here to sell you anything that's not what I'm going to chat about today. But I've kind of taken a sidestep into building things for testers because I love testing and I love testers and just wanted, another option out there. So when they kind of lured me over, I was like, okay, let's give it a try. Yeah.
That's was that change hard, different, difficult?
Um, it was weird. So because I have a really strong agile background, stepping into the product role wasn't that difficult because I understood how to really form a user story. What was hard was understanding how to interact with users.
Hmm.
I felt like I understood users, but now I had to interview users and measure experience and understand their use cases and understand the way they interact with their software and learn things about their organization. So I was asking questions that were new and were uncomfortable. And sometimes you really do have to ask challenging questions like, well, we have a way for you to do this thing that you want to do. And they say that won't work. And so you have to ask why. Like, why won't that work? And oftentimes it comes down to, well, the development team won't give us access to this, or we don't have the technical skills to use that, like whatever it may be. And so now I understand, like, okay, so we have a gap and we have to fill it, and now I have to actually like get that use case. All of that stuff was totally new. Understanding testers, I was right there, but the other stuff was hard.
That's interesting because some of those questions, or it felt when you said it like things that thou shall not speak about, or
Yeah.
but it's something that truly we don't talk about, not because it's forbidden, but we don't think about those things, right?
And so we don't think about them, and we protect our organizations, right? Like, we don't want people to know that something may be in the way of us being successful. So this is the kind of stuff that, like, maybe you hear rumblings about it in a conference, like two testers are complaining to each other. And I don't mean complaining in a bad way, but like two testers are like,
Having a
sharing.
conversation.
Yeah, they're sharing the experiences and they're having a vent session together because, like, I have vent sessions with people. But having somebody that is in my role ask you those questions and have those challenging conversations, that's different. So that requires me to make sure that I've earned their confidence, and it requires them to trust me. And that's so I'm using all of my testing skills and all of my negotiating skills and all of my agile skills and all of the things that I learned before I got into testing, like sales, um, to help me have those conversations.
It's really interesting because I see now a little bit better the conflict. We as QA people are used to uncover those uncomfortable
Mhm.
truths, and the role probably that your team was not used to is what, like, you were like shoveling in the faces, like all those
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah.
And that's why we are what we are supposed to do to improve our products.
Right.
Uh, Totally, it makes me think of this victim mentality. It's
Yeah.
totally the opposite. Own it, fix it.
Yeah.
I tend to say we always tend to look at our own babies as pretty.
Yeah.
They may not be as pretty, and someone has to call us out on that. It's not like an actual baby because that your baby, you cannot do much. It is what it is. But with a product, this type of baby, we can like, how dare you tell me?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
fix it. Okay, yeah. What did I do wrong? And
Mhm.
take a, I don't know if
Mhm.
proactive or perspective, different perspective, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that
Yes.
help you, or because you're also like a public speaker, you are also here giving
Mhm.
keynotes and awesome things that we're going to get into in a moment. Does that influenced or changed how you do things out here in conferences and events, or what you talk about?
It has. I like thinking of my keynote. I was more. I allowed myself to be more exposed in that keynote than I ever have before. I have, and I think it's because of the negotiating part of my job, and part of that is because I'm at the director level. So like I'm negotiating with the CEO and the CTO to get things onto the roadmap. I'm negotiating with like executives and companies that are our customers, about things on the roadmap. Um, so I've gotten a lot braver and a lot
Hmm.
more willing to just say my truth and speak my truth. And so it has changed the way I speak. And it's changed the things I talk about. Like I still talk about the things that I love. Like I love exploratory testing, and I love building community and teams and helping people be in teams better. And I love agile. But now I also talk about things like how do you effectively integrate a tool into your organization. And actually, I have a talk coming up at Romanian Test Conference.
More details in a
That's
moment.
Yes. um, about tool acquisition and about like how do you go from I got a budget to actually using it. I never would have talked about something like that until coming to the product side.
It's interesting because you have a different view perspective. Having a budget that changes your mindset like crazy because you understand some things.
Yeah.
I remember being part of the QA team.
Mhm.
You have the looking from the bottom perspective when you are like the leader, and regardless of how you see it, if it's a plain organization, you have some responsibility, and you mentioned some of that. Um, you have like a general perspective, the whole panorama that probably from below we don't see in the next team what is
Mhm.
happening, and I think that also gives you.
Oh, that Cliff and Valley, yeah. So like that idea that when we're IC, we see our scope and maybe a little bit past it. Like we see what we're doing and what our teams are doing. But when you move up to management, your scope changes and your view changes. So you move up from the valley to the cliff, and when you're on a cliff edge, you just see further. And it's not that being IC or being in the valley is a bad thing. It's not. There's no like one is better than the other because let's be honest, IC to management is not a promotion. IC to management is a move onto a new career track. You can be the world's best IC and the world's worst manager. They
Mhm.
are not the same skill sets. Um, but the expectation is that at that higher level, you're going to see organizationally and therefore affect different kinds of change. Um, yeah, that insight hit me one day like a brick. And I was like, whoa, this is really different.
It's full breaks. You're maybe like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, whoa, and it's when I got that like epiphany, it's it's weird because, and I love how you said like the hill and the valley,
Mm.
and because inside of the valley, yes, you don't have that
Yeah.
visibility. We all tend to think that the boss doesn't understand us and
Mhm.
doesn't know. Probably you don't understand them or her, and that's where having that empathy. And I'm trying to bring this because when you are part on the ground, like part of the team,
Mhm.
and your manager or your boss says something and tries to do something you may
Mhm.
not understand, and you just blame on, and the boss also or manager has pressures, you have budgets, and we are all protected from
Yeah.
that budget term and things you don't know, and you may be like about to run out of money. Most of the time we don't know. That's
Yeah.
And you just mentioned like this, not promotion,
Mhm.
because it's a total different career, and I have seen
Yeah.
so many people wanting to move in the corporate ladder, and sadly that's the next step
Yeah.
where you may not be good at it
Yeah, it's a real shame that
nor enjoy
organizations
it.
not enjoy it and not be good at it. It's a shame that so many companies view management as a promotion. It really should, and people then take it because, well, my income is going to be reduced, my potential is reduced if I don't move up to management. But there should just be an equivalent IC level to management. There should be like a consultant level or an
Mhm.
architect level, because then you get to keep your really good IC people doing the work that they care about and that they're good at, and get the folks who really should be leading people doing leadership and management. And by the way, you don't have to be a manager to be a leader. There are
No.
different things. Management and leadership are different. You can be a fantastic leader and a bad manager. You can be a really good manager and a bad leader. Um, there are skills that have to be built and honed. They're not just something that like, oh, I'm giving you a promotion and poof, those exist. Like there's this whole self development that has to happen, and it's not something that happens
Magically
naturally.
or
Yeah, it takes real self reflection and work.
it's something, and I was also committing that, uh, I don't know if bad behavior, but it's natural.
Mhm.
Can you believe this dumbass that is managing us doesn't even know what a PR is, doesn't know how to
Mhm.
compile, and is giving me instructions? But as you very well said, it's a different set of skill sets, different even education, I would say, or experiences that give you to that position. And it's weird to me that that's the ascension or natural progress. You can just, if you are enjoying what you do, just get better at it and get improvement. Sadly, sometimes money doesn't come together with that, but
Yeah.
and on that point, you very well made it. You may be below and not enjoy or not be good for that.
Mhm.
The different type of skills, because we all are excited about these labels and titles that you very well mentioned. Uh, let's get to your keynote, because there are so
Yeah.
many elements that we are already
Okay.
spoiling, and that was an awesome keynote.
Thank you.
I loved all the concepts that you touched were thought, thought provoking. I was like, huh. Can you spoil it a little bit?
Yeah. So I really told the story of our agile transformation at Functionize. And so I talked about things I've learned about frameworks. I really, I was kind of a believer in frameworks until I was no longer IC doing it or external coaching it, and was instead leading it from the inside. And I realized, there's stuff here that doesn't work. Like I will go to my grave saying that calling an iteration a sprint is a bad thing. The semantics of it are wrong. We're supposed to be working at a sustainable pace, but instead we're calling it something that requires extreme exertion and is meant to be like immediate, fast, like, and then you have to stop and rest. But that's not what it's supposed to be. Iteration is supposed to be something we can maintain. We work in an iteration, then we do the next and the next and the next. And then this idea of ceremonies that I mentioned in my keynote, that we call Scrum ceremonies the wrong thing because they're not ceremonies. They're ritual. If we treat them as ritual, and we treat them as something that sets the tone for what we're doing, your stand up isn't just a robotic thing. And it's also not a ceremony because it happens every day. It's a daily ritual that prepares you for having the difficult conversations that you need to have. Same thing with sprint planning. Same thing with retrospectives and all that. But ultimately, I talked about conflict and how we need closure on conflict and how retrospectives on conflict are important. I talked about boundaries. I'm not going to spoil the boundaries thing because I think that's going to become another talk, like
That's huge.
just that
Yeah,
section.
yeah, yeah.
But I will say, your boundaries matter and you deserve to enforce your own boundaries. But what it came down to is that we failed at capital A Agile. we're not doing capital A Agile. And when I say capital A Agile, I mean like we're not doing Scrum, we're not doing XP, we're not doing um, any of the other like methodologies or frameworks, but we are doing lowercase Agile. We are adjusting as we need to. We're focusing on the outcomes, as Elizabeth Hendrickson would put it. We're focusing on how do we deliver work better together. And that is what Agile is. So I loved building this talk because I reflected on a lot. And I'll be honest, I spent probably 6 months really developing this.
Wow.
I tracked it. There's like 70 hours worth of work that went
Wow.
into that.
I need to learn from that. I mean, different styles, but no, that's. I felt that the talk was thoughtful, that you really, well, you were pouring yourself into what you were saying. It's your experience, and there were so many things out of the talk. The boundaries piece, again, I'm not gonna spoil it, but it was huge and super um, transcendental, I would say. Where it got me thinking, it got me like, huh. And I love these type of things that are always thought provoking. One thing that you very well said about this capital A Agile, I've seen it when you were presenting. I was nodding like crazy. I looked like the bobblehead thing, and because we see it in so many organizations want the recipe,
Yeah.
the 10 commandments of Agile to implement, and where it is, there are some end goals that you're looking for Agile.
Mhm.
And whatever of the, I wouldn't say methodologies, a set of recommendations or things that you could use, and you can mutate whichever, because this may not adapt to my particular case.
Right.
Oh no, but the manifesto says this, and like no. And I love that perspective on, you don't have to, because we were talking earlier, like these labels, it has to be safe, or this is a Scrum, or this is Kanban, and it's not the flavor that we are doing. Like even like the actual flavor is not right, because the point of Agile is to be flexible and be mutating as you need, right?
Well, and ultimately, it is about the manifesto because the manifesto is this long, right? Like it's a page.
Yeah, it's
And
not.
it's a page in big type. Like if you go to agilemanifesto.org, I think that's what it is.
Mhm.
Like it's the font is huge. Also, it has been updated. It's really, really funny because this is like
It's all.
this is the early days of the web. Um, but if we focus on what the manifesto says, we don't need the frameworks.
All the buzzwords that we have right now is not part of the manifesto.
Right. Because the manifesto, what? There's four guidelines. We've got low documentation.
Constant feedback.
No, not feedback.
What's the
Hold on,
name?
I'm gonna look it up. I'm
Yeah,
gonna look it up
because
because there's
we better quote it correctly. I
Yeah,
don't want to create more confusion.
I'm gonna get it.
But some of these things, while it is being looked up
I used to have it memorized.
with better, yeah, we should have it. I don't either, so never mind. No shame.
Okay, so it takes up this much space on my screen on my phone.
It's tiny, yeah.
And of that, this much is the signatures because we've got the signers. So we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. Through this work, we have come to value. These are the principles: individuals' interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. This is that is, while there is value at the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. If we focus on that and then the 12 principles, that's all we've got to do. That's Agile. And so this
obsession with the
yeah.
names and boss, daily stand-up, where is it in the manifesto?
It's not.
That's some things that started to kind of like trying to square it up, where I
I
think
think it is in the principles, but still, like, there's no rule that it has to be daily, and there's
Yeah.
no rule that it has to be synchronous. It helps for it to be
that's a good
synchronous,
one.
but it doesn't have to be. Part of my team is in India. It is really hard for us to be
It's not
synchronous.
gonna happen.
Yeah, so what? Twice a week, we're synchronous. The rest of the week, we're not. You know, it. Lowercase Agile is about doing what works for you,
Mhm.
and it may work at one organization and not at another, which is why it's what works for you and what works for me, works for us is good enough.
Because there are so many steps on these like formal guidelines, blah blah
Mhm.
blah, on agile and the coaching and all that stuff. Where I've been in several teams where that just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And there that also brings to that are you water fragile? Are you like doing this? There are some things if you have to keep, and there are organizations where they have to keep some waterfall
Yeah.
and type of project oriented ticketing, some of those processes where you get a benefit from daily stand-ups or having a Kanban board or some of these things. That doesn't turn you into capital A agile. You may be agilizing and getting the benefits of it. But if you get hard-headed into, no, it has to be this way, you're just going to create problems.
Yeah.
And QA and project-wise.
And so I went into this agile transformation believing that agile was the way. I think I mentioned that. It's like slide 4 or something. This is not the Mandalorian. There is not a single way. What I now understand is, and I should have known this going all along because I'm a context-driven tester, the context of your work drives your process. And so if the context of your work requires safety, is medical devices, is aeronautics, is vehicles, you're probably using waterfall, and it's probably okay that you are, because we need all of those guardrails. Jenny Bramble says, like, what's the risk? Is someone going to literally die? If it is, then,
you better.
We're going to move a little slower.
No, and the other side of what you're saying, like moving slower, moving faster, the sprint, not the pace, but this obsession of feature over quality, more, try to put.
Yep.
There are some other principles of the manifesto where you're not taking into account people or the team or anything like feature, let's push more.
Mm-hmm.
And the quality gets harmed. We have the hardening sprints, we have all this technical debt. And as you were saying, like, you are kind of shooting yourself in the foot trying to do these things, obsessing on one way, right? And that boundary wise is another one. I hope I'm not spoiling much of that part. But that as well requires boundaries to say, we have the retrospective, we are checking our burn down, all those things that we use.
Mhm.
Why don't we pay attention actually to it? Say like, no, but I won't have time for testing. Why not? I give this example at times, like, I won't have time to brush my teeth. Oh, then you will have some hours in a few months to get a root canal or something like that.
Yeah.
And from your perspective, what do you think are like these problems that organizations are facing?
So I think that, and some people may really dislike me for saying this, I think that the culture around tech right now is really dangerous. We see people like Zuckerberg and Musk who push this ideological culture that believes that the engineers, and when I say the engineers, I'm talking testers, I'm talking
Everyone
developers,
IT,
everybody. I'm even talking about product. Like, all of us, although I'm definitely not an engineer, but all of us who are engaged in the building process in some way, that we are mechanical and we are replaceable and we are expendable. But, and this is an argument I have with my father, who ran manufacturing companies my whole life. He believes that he can build a perfect widget. Now, you can't build the perfect widget. It may come off the line perfectly, but one day it's going to break. Therefore, it's not perfect. But he believes if he can push a perfect widget through a manufacturing line, then we can produce perfect code and perfect software can exist. That's impossible, because ultimately code is a craft. It is not a mechanical process.
It's an art.
Kent Beck tells us this. I'm a big fan.
Who?
Kent Beck.
Okay.
Yeah. But what it comes down to is we are not plug and play. So Elon Musk, cut how many thousands of people at Twitter and thought that he could just plug in new engineers and it would just work. Like we're not plug and play. The knowledge is critical, and that knowledge goes with you. And so organizations need to stop believing in the we're expendable, that these budgets, could be reduced, although, maybe, I don't know. But I don't think the
That's
budget should be reduced. I don't think that laying off people is the appropriate way to find savings in the budget. And I don't believe that move fast and break things was ever healthy for tech culture. And I think that's the root of it. And so that has continued to, exist in the space. And Musk has continued kind of really toxic behaviors in the space. And it trickles down. And so other CEOs hear this stuff and believe it, and it continues to trickle down. And so we're all feeling the effects of it. But if you can't give your engineering teams enough time to do the things that you have the other parts of your organization do, like team bonding and team activities and having vacation time where they don't get a phone call from somebody or they don't get Slack messages, or having time to do retrospectives. If we can't find that time for the engineering team, then we have a fundamental problem. But no coach is going to fix that. No consultant is going to fix that, because they're ultimately there to give the CEO what they want. The only thing that's going to fix that is somehow breaking through this weird culture that started to exist. And I don't know the solution. I wish I did. I'd probably make a lot of money if I did.
I'm not sure. This is the second time that this is brought up, like the culture, and I have some issues, to say it in a way. In the US, the hustle culture is, it's too much for, and I was neck deep into it. Like I loved it, and yeah, let's sleep only 4 hours and more Red Bulls, and let's do more. And, it's not healthy. You're not gonna last for long if you keep doing that. Even Elon Musk, I'm not sure how long he's gonna live. I think that man is, no, he's doing too much. His poor body, and many of these people that kind of glorify that in IT, and that we think that through Agile, this book on Scrum, Sutherland,
Oh, yeah.
where do more with less.
Yeah.
I kind of disliked the title right away when I'm like, it's kind of do better, right? Not more. And then that's the point of Agile, having better feedback, switching, and caring about the people. It's in the manifesto, people first. And that's the opposite of what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm getting heated here with this, and we're getting to time-wise. Want to be respectful, but we can keep doing this for hours, right? One thing which is, where are you going to be talking now? What comes next for Jenna?
So, like a little over a week, I'll be in Cluj at Romanian Test Conference. And then I get a little bit of a break. And then I think October I'm at Sea Star, which is in the Dominican Republic.
Cool.
And November, oh no, I'm sorry. And in September, I'll be at Targeting Quality in Toronto.
Okay.
Well, outside of Toronto, Kitchener-Waterloo.
Busy schedule. Really cool.
Yeah, but that's it. Like I'll probably go to Agile Testing Days in Germany as an attendee. And speaking of hustle culture with that in grad school, that's all I can think on.
Yeah, I need to learn from that. Can you spoil your talks? Just a tiny little.
Spoil them? Sure. Although some of them are going to be weird.
Weird.
So
we like weird.
The talk in Romania is, so we're buying a tool, what now? And it really is about tool acquisition. So I'm taking all of the things I've learned being in product for a tool vendor and using that to help you make good decisions and give you a process to follow, give you a guide. And in fact, you'll even walk away with kind of an artifact to take home that you can use as your own tool in evaluation. At Targeting Quality, Jenny Bramble and I are doing a joint keynote called Stairs. I am not going to tell you anything about that. You
Has been
just have to
slightly
come.
spoiled already. Jenny came by yesterday, and you know Jenny. That
Let's just say that this was inspired by an evening out at Agile Testing Days in Potsdam.
lots of things happens there for what I've seen. Never been there, but now I'm curious of what is the experience.
We're really excited about it. It's going to be an adventure. I hope you come on it with me. Um, and then at C Star, I don't actually know what I'm doing because the conference had like been put on hold and now it's back, and I'm going to ask them what talk they want me to do. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Well, you still have some time for that one to be
yeah.
worked
I mean,
out.
and it'll be something It won't be something new. I apologize, but I don't know which talk yet.
Yeah, in those situations, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
So stay tuned because Gina's gonna be bringing a lot of fun, a lot of knowledge together with Jenny and on her own talks. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, so I am at They Wrestle Test on all the socials. So I do have Instagram, but I rarely use it. So catch me on Twitter. I'm on Blue Sky at They Wrestle Test, and I'm on LinkedIn. Jenna Charlton. My purple hair is up there. I forgot I just changed the picture. I don't do like some of the other stuff. I don't do Mastodon or anything. Just a fair warning, I'm rarely on LinkedIn either.
Okay.
Catch me on Twitter.
Okay, Twitter is a spot. I remember they wrestle test, super cool. Wrestling origins. I remember.
Yeah, if
we
you love
had
pro wrestling, I'm the product person for you.
Lucha Libre. When I saw that, like, cool, I like
Oh, yeah.
that. So everyone, awesome speaker, presenter, almost advocate, super active. I really enjoy. Awesome person. Take a look at what she's presenting, what she's talking about, and if you want some information, some help, she's awesome at all these things. So, Gina, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate having you here, and I have a feeling we will be having these
Yeah.
talks more often.
I hope so. Thanks for having me.
Lots of fun. Okay, so everyone, I see that the activity is kind of ramping down, pun intended. Let's see what happens. Who else can I bring? Stay tuned. I don't know if this is the last. I hope not. But this is the second day of Agile Testing Days in Chicago. So thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll be back soon. Adios.
Bye.
Time to stop this.